Hello, guys. So today we have Brad Harrison, who is president of FTX US, and FTX is probably the fastest growing company in the crypto industry. And FTX is currently valuated at $32 billion and FTX US at $8 billion. And great to have you here, Brad, today.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. So can you tell us how you started in crypto industry and how did you get involved with FTX and whether you invested into crypto before joining FTX?
Yeah, absolutely. So my first start in crypto, it didn't go very deep, but I was when I was at Jane Street Capital, which is the proprietary trading firm. I was there from 2010 to 2018. They were starting to get into crypto towards the end of my time there, into crypto arbitrage, and sort of helped in the early days of that. But when I had left Jane Street and moved to Chicago and took a few other roles at Headlands Technologies and Citadel Securities, those firms weren't doing anything in crypto. And I hadn't really followed it much at the time as well, except for sort of from afar, just seeing everything that was happening. But it was while I was at Jane Street that I overlapped with Sam Bankman-Fried, who was also at Jane Street. He was a trader there. And we had kept in touch as we both sort of went different ways in our careers for some time. And he had asked me to come over to help run FTX US. And even though I didn't really know much about crypto at the time, I was really excited about everything happening at FTX. And that's when I really started to get into and learn about everything happening with different blockchains and with crypto in general, and just getting very excited about it. And so I really didn't have a lot of prior experience in the crypto world prior to joining FTX.
Yeah, I actually see now a lot of Jane Street guys going to crypto conferences, so they're really getting into this industry. And
yeah, they're definitely growing their involvement as well, and we're still close and friends with a lot of them.
Nice. And as well, FTX US is separate division of FTX. So can you tell us about your day-to-day activities in FTX US?
Sure. So the FTX US is run separately. We have separate licenses that's sort of required to run different kinds of businesses in the US, and we have a few different ones. We have our money service business license under FinCEN, which allows us to operate sort of our crypto operations for spot crypto, which allows us to take in money both in crypto and in dollars and let people do exchange and then pull those out again. We also have a US broker-dealer license under FINRA, and that allows us to offer stocks to US persons. And that isn't a crypto business, but we are generally trying to build this application that caters to all different kinds of investors that given them all the options of what they might want to do with their money. We also, through the acquisition of LedgerX, have multiple licenses with the CFTC, the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, which we hope to use to be able to launch Bitcoin and Ether futures trading sometime in the near future. So the day-to-day operations are really running our US-based crypto order book. We have a few dozen tokens on our exchange. We're pretty conservative about what we list because of the regulatory environment in the US.
And also operating have meme coins.
We have a couple, but we've been very careful about what our analysis of the coins and making sure they're not securities and these sorts of things. And then we also have an NFT platform. We have our stocks platform, and so we're constantly sort of working on various improvements, whether it's to the apps or the website, to the back-end matching engine, and sort of all of the above. And that pretty much describes what we're doing in the US.
Yeah, so you mentioned FTX stock trading, which you recently launched. So can you tell more about it, and why did you decide to offer TradFi instruments to your audience? Or is it the way to attract wider audience to your platform?
Yeah, for sure. So in the US, we have a pretty large retail investor class, maybe the largest retail investor class in the world. So people, they have savings and they would like to be able to grow wealth through their savings. And they might want to invest in stocks, they might want to invest in bonds or crypto or some mix of all of the above. And it's fairly cumbersome for people to have to take their savings and split it across multiple different applications. Crypto and FTX US, and for stocks in TD Ameritrade, or bonds and interactive brokers, and sort of that would be sort of a cumbersome process for the average investor. So what people are always looking for is there a single platform where they can have flexibility into what they invest? Today they might wake up and want to trade Bitcoin, but maybe in a week they want to sell some of that Bitcoin and use it to buy Tesla. They'd like to be able to do that as easily and as efficiently as possible. And so that was sort of a hypothesis that we should add more traditional kinds of instruments, like stocks, to our platform, so people can invest using this one holistic experience all in the same place. And part of it is a user acquisition tool, absolutely. Trying to attract a wider audience to our platform, maybe people who aren't yet ready to invest in crypto. Part of it is for people who currently trade crypto to have more options about what they would like to do with their money on any given day, and to kind of grow the assets and interest and retention on the platform.
So how many stocks and which stocks do you currently offer on your platform?
Yeah, so our goal is to offer basically the entire listed stock universe. We basically allow people to trade any stock that's currently listed through our broker dealer. There's around 900 that are available. And remember that FTX US is not an exchange trade stocks. We are a broker, meaning we really help route people's orders onto exchanges where these things trade. So it's a little bit different than how the crypto side works. And so basically we are limited by what's listed on the exchange and what our clearing firm can support. But we're working on adding more names so we can get the whole universe supported on the platform.
And as well, you offer zero commission for trading. So what's your business model in this product? How do you earn on it?
Yeah, so right now it's zero commission, sort of as an intro to get people in and learn about the platform. But we're actually going to start charging a commission at the end of September. A very simple 5 basis point commission capped at 1 penny per share. And what our hypothesis is that, it's been about a decade of people sort of expecting a zero commission environment, but those zero commission brokers were subsidized by a payment for order flow mechanism by which they would engage with wholesalers in private deals, such that the wholesalers would pay would basically pay per order to the broker dealers to send them that order flow. And our belief is that a lot of this order flow should stay on the public lit exchanges so that it's transparent and fair. And we think that charging a commission, very similar to how we do on the crypto side, people are used to trading with trading fees in crypto, will just be expected and normal from our customers, and they'll appreciate the transparency.
And do you have as well already a data what the percentage of your users use already for FTX stock trading?
Not yet. I mean, we just launched like a month ago, and so we're sort of in the early days, kind of ramping up slowly. We're not yet talking super publicly about all the statistics, but we're pretty excited about our user base so far. There's been a lot of interest. We had a pretty large wait list. We're starting to get people excited about the platform and doing different kinds of marketing to get people more aware that the platform exists and to start trying it out.
Thank you. And as well, let's discuss as well recent current news. For example, Reddit co-founder is quite active in crypto space. And recently, just yesterday, he announced the launch of the new fund to invest into tokens. And FTX as well partnered with Reddit to roll out tokenized community points. So can you tell us more about that, about this partnership?
Yeah, so we wanted to we're always looking for ways in which we can use our regulated platform to help support different companies that want to engage in sort of the blockchain, crypto, Web3 space in some way. And one fact about the FTX platform is that even though our main product is like an application that you can use on your phone or the web to interact with FTX, we're also a platform with open APIs, programming interfaces for different companies to be able to leverage the back ends of FTX, aside from just going through the front door of our applications. And so we've partnered with Reddit to allow people to have a way of kind of like an on-ramp and an off-ramp for their community points, using a lot of the FTX infrastructure to facilitate that. And so we're pretty excited about that partnership. We have a couple of other ones which we can't say publicly yet, where we are again working with different companies to allow them to use our either crypto services or exchange services or custody services or NFT services to sort of augment the features of their particular product or application. And so that's a pretty exciting area of kind of B2B growth for FTX.
Yes, it's pretty cool. And as well, you mentioned about acquiring some of the companies, like you acquired stock clearing platform Embed, and as well LedgerX exchange, which has a CFTC derivatives license. So can you share more details about that, and what is your M&A strategy in FTX?
Yeah, so just a very high level on the M&A strategy, there's really two primary reasons we might be excited about investing in or partnering with the company. One would be to help acquire more users. So over a year ago now, FTX acquired Blockfolio, which was an application for tracking your crypto portfolio over time. And it had millions of users, and it was sort of a great fit to help kind of bring them into the FTX family, to add FTX trading to that app. That app actually ended up becoming what we call our FTX app, our retail trading app. And so that was a acquisition entirely about trying to acquire sort of users in that technology. The other reason we might want to acquire a company are for regulatory licenses. So in the case of LedgerX, for example, getting the licensure that allows us to be regulated by the CFTC and to hopefully eventually list futures on crypto in the US, since crypto futures trade way more than crypto spot around the world and is the primary product that trades on FTX.com, the international platform. For Embed, it was a similar story where Embed is a clearing broker dealer. They have direct membership to NASDAQ. They have their DTC members, their Options Clearing Corp members. They're able to clear trades in US stock and US stock options, and being able to have all those licenses under one roof presents a lot of operational efficiencies that would be very exciting to be able to kind of put together. So those acquisitions were much more about the licenses and those capabilities versus user acquisition.
Yeah, so I see you're quite involved into getting different licenses for FTX, and as well you're quite close with the regulators in US, and particularly FTX has been seeking permission from US regulators to execute its model of risk management for the clearing of margin trades in the futures derivatives market. So how is it going with this?
Yeah, we've had very constructive conversations with regulators from a number of different agencies on a number of different topics, whether that's trying to encourage the right sort of responsible regulation for spot crypto in the US, whether it's the CFTC on our application to, as you say, allow us to employ our direct margin model for the execution and clearing of futures trades in the US, whether it's just talking with lawmakers about educating them about the importance of crypto and what are the good and bad parts of crypto and how to sort of think about this emerging industry. And so we've been welcomed in these different agencies and communities in terms of how open we've been about trying to educate them on what we see as important, what we're seeing in the industry. And it's all going quite well. And we can't predict exactly if and when our application will be approved, but we have been very happy with the dialogue so far and look forward to the continued conversations with those agencies.
Yes, it's good to see such companies as FTX pushing forward the regulations and to bringing forward the new technologies and to the customers. And as well, how do you see the current state of crypto regulations in the US, and what challenges do you face with it?
Yeah, so the biggest challenge in the US right now is that crypto companies, absent very clear rules about crypto, are operating in a little bit of a regulatory gray zone. So for example, what tokens are an exchange allowed to list? And that's not a question that's very clearly defined in any regulation. It involves some complicated set of tests, which are easy to interpret one way or another. And that's one reason why FTX US has been very conservative about choosing which tokens it lists on its exchange. There's also no explicit license for an exchange to get from a markets regulator like the SEC or the CFTC, we are regulated as a money service business, sort of like MoneyGram. And of course, we do a lot more than just transfer money in and out of our platform. We have a whole exchange where people are sort of buying and selling on a central limit order book. And a lot of the practices like anti-market manipulation, anti-wash trading, anti-spoofing, these are the kinds of things that we are enforcing on ourselves, but they're not part of a markets regime that it would be, for example, for NASDAQ or NYSE or even the CME. And so that's the biggest sort of missing area right now. It's the hottest topic of discussion among regulators is, who ultimately will have authority over, for example, the markets regulation of spot Bitcoin to USD markets. That's what we see sort of developing now. In Congress, there's been a few bills that have been proposed that, for example, may place the jurisdiction over spot Bitcoin and spot Ether markets with the CFTC. We know that the SEC is also working on their own proposal for regulation of crypto markets and classification of certain crypto tokens as securities. So it's an exciting area, and we're going to see a lot of progress in that area over the next 1 to 2 years.
Yeah, and as well, you mentioned spot Bitcoin, and as well, we see the challenge in the US for the adoption of spot Bitcoin ETF. So how do you see, and when do you expect when the US government will finally approve it, and what will it mean for the industry?
Sure. It would be monumental for the industry because there are many players that are looking to get exposure to Bitcoin through a highly regulated and highly understood instrument, such as an exchange traded fund. And it's why even though a future ETF like BITO, which is an ETF on the Bitcoin future from CME, is an imperfect instrument in terms of tracking spot Bitcoin, it still had an enormous amount of institutional interest because finally it was something that they could invest in without having to worry about taking custody of this actual spot tokens. So I think it's going to be a very important step for the crypto industry as a whole to get a Bitcoin ETF approved. As for what it's going to take to get there, I think the SEC has been very clear that they don't want to approve a spot Bitcoin ETF until spot Bitcoin is trading on a market which they deem sufficiently regulated and have a sufficient surveillance sharing agreement with the ETF provider and with the regulatory agency. And so it's going to take getting clarity on some of the issues like which markets regulator actually regulates spot Bitcoin, what license do you need to be able to become a licensed markets exchange for Bitcoin, I think, before we're going to end up seeing a proper spot Bitcoin ETF in the US.